Hello viewers, welcome to Candid Conversations with Ganesh Kuppala. First of all, thank you so much for great response that you're giving on the show. As you know, I've been talking to various business impact leaders across the globe for the past few episodes. Today, I'm bringing another business leader who's an entrepreneur, innovator, and a lot more to talk about it. And the reason I'm bringing him today is there have been a lot of questions, inquiries from my audience because of my tax expertise, talking about how can we save taxes in UK, and what are the right forums for investment across the country or across the globe. So I thought I will bring somebody who can talk about all this stuff, and at the same time, who actually done a lot in the business area. So we have Venkatesh Krishnamurthy with us today. Hi Venkat. Good to have you here. Thank you so much for your time. So Venkatesh Krishnamurthy is a serial entrepreneur. He did a lot of time he spent on gaming. You did a lot of stuff around innovation, various areas. So how about quickly starting with your introduction, Venkat?
Right, so I'm an engineer by background, and I've worked with investment banks before, like
Okay.
JP Morgan Chase through TCS. After that, I did my master's in finance and operations, and I was working with Morgan Stanley. Yes, I came in UK in 2016, and I was venturing into emerging technologies like AI, machine learning, augmented reality, virtual reality, and we've built loads of applications and solutions in the space. And yeah, in 2019, we set up our company by the name Wharf Street Studios, based out of Canary Wharf.
Brilliant. So Wharf Street Studios, very interesting.
Yes.
The name sounds really interesting. What does it mean? And what triggered you to call it as Wharf Street Studios?
So Wharf basically is again, we are based out of Canary Wharf. There's that's one reason, but then at the same time, Wharf means exchange of ideas. And again, when you talk about street and studios, which is again part of the name, so exchange of ideas with the community, and having a studio that would actually build something that is community driven.
Okay.
That's the reason why we named it Wharf Street Studios.
Brilliant. So, what's your main business, Venkat? What do you focus on? I know you did a lot of things on gaming. So, but how does this business work? What's your main product?
Right. So we've been in the gaming space since 2018. And I've been working with loads of other companies and brands. One of them is Vivi, which is an application that has signed brands like Marvel, DC, Disney, Warner Brothers.
Okay.
And they basically have been faring well in the collectible space, digital collectible space. And there's also a concept called Fidgetals, which I will touch upon. While working with them, what I realized is that there's a huge market in India.
Okay.
There's a huge market in Africa. There's a huge market in Latin America.
Okay.
So, because my roots are again from India, I wanted to focus more on the culture and heritage of India.
Okay.
And that's when we started curating a lot of content on promoting the culture and heritage of India,
Okay.
which would not only help the Indians in India, but also we have a huge Indian diaspora in UK and in the US.
Yeah. Yeah.
And because we take part in Comic-Cons that take place in US and in UK, I think the UK one is upcoming in the month of May.
Okay.
So yeah, that's basically what my studios has been doing. Basically curating content for untapped audience in India, Africa, Latin America, and we curate a lot of content on the culture and heritage, rich culture and heritage.
So, gaming always have been the Western, oriented, right? I mean, when you being kids, we played a lot of games, PS4s, and all that stuff. Wherever you see Western characters, right? I mean, you talk about Mickey Mouse, or you talk about other gaming sports, and the gaming characters that we have done. All of them, either cartoons or the gaming characters. All of them has been Western led.
Yes.
What's interesting for me in Venkat's app is most of them are Indian characters and Indian mythology. So how did you think about it? Was it a conscious call that you have taken, Venkat, or is it more like you wanted to disrupt the market with something new?
So as an innovator, I am expected to look into markets that are untapped and find out, let's say, customer pain points. market gaps that I could actually fill in.
Yeah.
Now, my goal and my aim was to not only just cover that market gap, but also
Okay.
to come up with something disruptive or innovative
Okay.
that can enter into a new market, and also solve some pain points of customers, wherein, when you say that most of the like games or movies or cartoons are Western led, I think India is an upcoming and booming market, and we deserve to have the culture and heritage of India presented at a global level.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of rich culture and heritage that we can focus on, and that's totally untapped.
Yeah.
So that's the main motto behind me starting, the brand EPIKO, which represents the cultures like the Indian culture, and African culture and Latin American culture. We also create content on Middle East and Southeast Asia.
Okay.
Now, when you talk about why we have selected these demographies, and why not do something, which is Western led. Now, if you look at the world's demography, so India has 1.5 billion people, and Africa has 1.5 billion people,
Yeah.
and Latin America, if you can guess, it's again 1 billion people. If you
Almost like half of the population of the world.
More than half the world's population is based out of these
Three
three
regions.
demographies.
Yeah.
Now, if you look at Southeast Asia and Middle East, that's another 1 billion combined. So we are talking about good 5+ billion people that we are creating content for.
But why do you think very, very interesting stats you brought up, Venkat. But why do you think the conservative or for the long time, the gaming industry has only focused on Western? Is it because of the innovators who are coming from Western world, or is it because of the companies that were led by these gaming staff
Right.
was
So
primarily from there?
it's both. But when you talk about a new market where someone has not entered into, then it takes a lot of courage to actually step up and actually create something for that new market,
Yeah.
because you don't know whether it would work or it could go down south.
Yeah.
That's one way of looking at it, and it's not like all the Western-led brands and characters that you see are created by West only, because you have a lot of Indian audience, you have a lot of Indian CEOs out there in the US as well. However, like I said, it takes a lot of courage for one to actually enter into a new market and experiment that ways. I'm not saying I'm the only one who's doing it at the moment. There are many who are like creating content on Indian culture and heritage. But I look at it in a broader perspective, where I can see that there's a lot of scope with 5 billion people worldwide that I can curate content on.
So which one of your characters are most popular now? Which one picked up really well?
So there are a few characters like Shakuni.
Okay.
Then there is
From Mahabharat.
Yeah, from Mahabharat. Then there is Nakul.
Yeah.
Then there is Bhima. And we have like a special character who is David Yu. He's the CEO of the application VV itself. And the best part is we own the IP to that character collectible.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so these are some of the characters in the mobile game that we launched.
How many digital collectibles do you hold right now? I mean,
So
we talk about patents and all that stuff. Do you hold?
Okay, so we've created more than 80 characters.
Okay.
Now, these 80 characters are launched in the mobile game. And we have also launched some of the characters in our PC game.
Okay.
So we have transitioned just from, not just being into the mobile, but also into the PC, experience for our community members and gamers.
That makes a lot of sense as well, right? Looking at the market, even PC gaming market is booming as well. Interesting. So the one more element that kind of fascinated me in your journey, Venkat, is like the way you started with this, because most of my audience would know, like I have a lot of South Asian Indian audience, and at least in the last few years I've been noticing everyone that wants to come to UK or across the globe, wherever they're traveling as an immigrant, they generally look for jobs, right? I mean, they're more job seekers than entrepreneurs. So what made, I mean, you came to UK on an innovator visa, isn't it?
No, I came on a student visa.
Oh, you came on a student visa. And then how did this happen to you? I mean, were you on this similar journey? Like, I know you mentioned about JP Morgan and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But were you always thinking about, securing a standard job so that, I can be secured and all? Or were you entrepreneur from the beginning?
No, I'm not from an entrepreneur background, and I knew nothing about business, to be very honest.
Yeah.
So when I came to the UK, I just thought I would land up in a job. But then when I saw the UK market booming at that point of time in all emerging technologies, that's when I chose to learn these emerging technologies and then build something, like a solution, or even start consulting or start advising companies, because there was a lot of demand for these emerging technologies as expertise.
Yeah.
And obviously, it's like a skill enhancement when you learn something new and that is booming. So now these emerging technologies, like I just mentioned, AI, machine learning, blockchain, were at a boom at that point of time, and I started exploring them. And I found a lot of opportunities with loads of companies, and Vivi is one of them. And obviously, the journey from a student to an entrepreneur initially, that was a little difficult, but then I still made it through. And then once you get the title as an entrepreneur, then you actually want to deliver, and you start believing that you have your place there in the market. And the journey was rough, but then here I am, and we've actually scaled our studios to quite an extent.
It's sizable,
And,
isn't it? I was looking at one of your podcasts in Telugu, and you that was mentioned about 150 crores or something of Indian currency.
Oh,
So
yeah,
it's a sizable market that you captured, right? I mean, it's
right.
big
I
enough.
mean, in terms of valuation, we've reached that valuation, and we have 50 plus shareholders, and with the EIS scheme, which I will be touching upon later.
Yeah.
So we are looking to have more shareholders in the company so that they can benefit from our journey and what we've been doing.
Yeah, that's a very good segue to my next question. Actually, I do want to, as I mentioned in my intro, the reason I'm doing this conversation right now is because a lot of my audience have reached out to me and saying that, how could I save taxes? And there are different options. As you know, I'm a tax director as well, and we do look into different options of how can we save taxes, whether savings, or what kind of investments do you have. Indian market is different, but UK, it's a very typical tax market. And one of the interesting aspects is the EIS scheme, right? I mean, do you want to quickly dwell more into that and see like what does it mean to the investor? And the reason I wanted to touch base that, Venkat, is it's not about, when we talk about investing, people generally think that investing means millions, billions, and all that stuff. That's not the actual story. And I was talking to a venture capitalist yesterday, and he's a 40 under 40, Forbes 30 under 30, and he made good entry into venture capital, but his entry was with a couple of thousands, not really big numbers.
Yes.
So how does this EIS scheme work? Number one, and is it for everyone? Number two, and number three, what's the ticket look like? I mean, there could be big tickets, but what is the smallest ticket? How much that people can invest? If you can touch on this.
So when you talk about the EIS certification that is given by HMRC, then they want to actually see whether your studios or your company, in my case it's my gaming studio, but does it even qualify for EIS? So is it sustainable? Is it going to bring business to the UK?
And let's elaborate to the audience what EIS means.
Right. So EIS means Enterprise Investment Scheme.
Yeah.
So there is SEIS as well, which is Seed Enterprise Investment Scheme. That's the initial phase where a company can raise up to 250,000.
Okay.
And the difference between an SEIS and an EIS scheme is that in SEIS you basically get 50% from HMRC.
Okay.
And after that, there's again 45% of the remaining capital that you put in, that is ensured by HMRC. So let's say
it's like a guaranteed investment.
It's like a guaranteed investment.
Okay.
And in SEIS, the capital at risk is 28%, I think. And obviously, it's a very small risk that anyone can take in terms of investing into an SEIS or an EIS company, because there's only 28% in case of SEIS. The best part is that when there is a return on that investment, then there is no tax that is required to be paid. There's no capital gains tax on the returns that you get from that investment on an SEIS certified company or an EIS certified company. Now, when you talk about EIS, so there's 30% that you would get back from HMRC, and another 31%, 32% approximately, you are assured by HMRC that if anything happens to your investment, that portion of your investment will be waived off from your next tax year.
Okay.
So the remaining 38.5%, which is the capital at risk, is still worth it, because when you enter in an EIS scheme with a company, that means they've already passed through SEIS, which means they've cleared the first milestone.
And what's the benchmark for EIS?
So EIS, you can go up to 12 million.
12 million, okay.
So it's just to tell that the company has been successful with SEIS, and now they're making the next move with EIS, where they can go up to 12 million if they wish to. But even in this case, you have 38% at risk. But the best part is that now, as you can see, that the company has progressed with X amount of shareholders, be it the valuation, be it the number of team members that they have, be it the technology that they are building on, be it the number of products that they have and the customer acquisition that they have got from the market, what are the validations, what are the accolades, business accolades, what are the partnerships that they have got into place. So all this values the company, and it can show progress of the company. And if you get into any particular company which is progressing in terms of accolades, partnerships, and their team and their shareholders, then you probably are looking at some good returns. So obviously, I'm not going to quantify that, but then any return that you expect from SEIS or EIS, again, is completely capital gains tax free. And I think there are very few schemes in the UK which actually have capital gains tax free returns.
Very interesting. And I do want to dissect this for my audience very clearly. So when Venkat mentions about EIS, Enterprise Investment Scheme, the mention here is like if you're an employee who is paying taxes already.
Yes.
And say, for instance, you want to invest 10K into the market, into the companies like wherever you can invest into EIS. So what you're mentioning, Venkat, is 30% upfront.
30% is basically where
exemption from tax.
No, you would get 30% back from HMRC as a rebate, where you can claim that for your previous year's tax.
Brilliant. So out of 10K, your 3K is already given to you in the year one.
So HMRC would send that to you, provided you've paid that amount of tax.
Understood.
If you're not a taxpayer, then
obviously. Obviously, everyone has to be a taxpayer, hopefully. If not, you'll be caught. Yeah. And second, mention that there is like remaining 70 out of 100 we are talking about. 30 is secured by HMRC through this rebate. And second portion you're talking about is the remaining 31, which is
31%, which is actually assured by HMRC. That if anything happens
to this investment, you will be given as a rebate or refund.
Yeah, you can claim that amount in your following years,
which means you out of your 100 that you're investing, 61 or 62 is saved completely. So the only risk item for you is 38.
38%.
And out of that, you can get, considering the credibility of the company and how they have done in the previous years and what the kind of partnership that you built, you still have a chance of getting more money. So I think it's an amazing, investment opportunity, right? Because most of our people, like for example, Indian origin, working abroad, like in UK, they probably might not know about this. I don't know how many. So do you have any stats, Venkat, how many people are investing right now?
So
not in your company, but I'm just generally talking about.
So I think not many are familiar with this scheme. So whenever I speak to like new investors who show some interest in the company, and I tell them that if you're a taxpayer in the UK, you can benefit. And they're like, okay, what's EIS? So I'm really surprised that they're not even aware of that particular scheme. So let aside those who are like into their own businesses, and they don't want to have any claims from HMRC. They also tend to invest in the company. I have investors from US, I have investors from Middle East, from Europe, from Singapore, from New Zealand, and other places as well. And even in the UK, there are some businessmen who actually haven't, come in with a huge ticket, but have actually just put in money, and they're not really much into the claim part. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, if you're a taxpayer, then this is a very lucrative scheme for you to leverage on.
Amazing, actually.
Yeah.
It's a very good scheme too. And I do tell people when, I'm more interested. I want to go deep into this
Because-
Venkat, it benefits a lot for my
Yes, yes.
audience because a lot of my audience did ask me about tax questions, right?
Yeah.
So the reason I'm going repeat on this is what's the smallest ticket that you can anybody can do invest?
So if it's my company in particular, then it's like £6,300.
That's the least.
Yeah, that's the least, 6,345. And again, with
And
that,
how does that work? How is that calculated, Venkat? Do you know?
so 6,300 is basically on the valuation of my company.
Okay. Makes
So
sense.
you would be getting like 5B shares.
Okay.
And you can check us out even in Company's House. And with the name Wharf Street Studios Limited. You can see there are loads of shareholders already there in the company. Obviously, if you do not want to go in with a big ticket, then you can obviously come in with the bare minimum. It also depends on the tax that you're paying. If you're like earning, the basic in UK, then obviously it would be good for you to go with the minimum because you don't want to risk too much as well. Saying that, even when you talk about 38%, when you're just getting the basic pay in the UK, then even that's a lot for them because they're paid less in terms of wages.
And most of the Indian community that lives abroad, especially in UK, primarily, most of them are IT driven, jobs or anything to do with finance mostly, right? I mean, that's the diaspora that we look at, right?
Yes,
I mean, yes, there are other sectors as well, business, self-employed and all that stuff. But primary, if you look at the larger chunk of the population that lives in UK is either by technology,
Yeah.
or through the finance sectors. Those are the sectors, and all of them do make handsome numbers. And the biggest concern for them always is like, why am I paying so many taxes, so much of taxes?
So that's
And if there's a way to save money upfront, I think that's an amazing thing.
That's the irony because whenever you get taxed on the money you earn, and then anything that you buy, anything that you sell, also you need to pay taxes on it. So if you talk about a scheme where you don't pay any taxes, then one of the schemes is EIS, which we are into. And again, when you want to, like you said, the minimum ticket, so 5 shares for 6,300 might sound a little less, but as I was mentioning earlier, it's very important for you to do your due diligence on a company and find out about the founder, check out the team that they have in place. What are the relevant technologies that they are building on? Do they have any validations from the market? Do they have any collaborations, or do they have anything legit that has acknowledged what they are building?
Correct.
So just to give you an example, so when we started Wharf Street Studios, at that point of time, we were working for like other big brands, but we did not have any validation from the market because we did not have a product as such. But when we launched the brand EPIKO for the Indian culture and heritage, and we launched a mobile application, we did win the Toycathon award by Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji.
Yeah.
And that was one of the validations that we got. And many people actually showed interest after that.
Correct.
So before that, the number of investors I was reaching out, though it was SEIS, they were really not interested in coming on board. And at a later point of time, we did NFTs with the same content. I'm going to talk about interoperability, which is also
Sure.
one
We
more
will.
thing.
We will.
And then, we obviously moved into the PC version game, and we expanded our team to like 50 people. So when we actually had this pivot from mobile to
PC.
and only creating one application into creating an ecosystem, so that's when we started reusing the same content into NFTs and then into humanoid versions for the PC game. And we got like the Barclays award. We were even
That was in
showcased.
22, is it?
It was just last year on
Last
the
year,
13th of April. We were even presented at the Trafalgar Square.
Okay.
It was through Ensemble again. Film London invested with our studio to promote us. Now there was even Meta giving us a grant for what we were building and the idea itself. Nvidia just incepted us. But then the best part is last year, we got an approval from PlayStation, and hopefully we'll get into their Hero Project India, and they would launch us by Q1 or Q2. We are working on that again. And
all these big names you are mentioning, Venkat,
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
I'll have to hold off a bit because, you're mentioning about Metaverse being, Nvidia, you're talking about being on the PlayStation. These are all big names, right? Isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
and is that so easy to get as in, like, I'm sure you would have done an extensive amount of work, but what does it, like, the reason I'm asking this question, what does it tell the investor and about the credibility? And there are two questions about it, right? One is when we were talking about EIS specifically, you mentioned about doing due diligence, making sure the company is the right one and all that stuff, right? But isn't that HMRC governance through which the EIS being selected, they go through the
Yeah. I mean, there was like to and fro with HMRC as well, and as to why I should get SEIS and EIS assurance, and finally I justified the reason why we would bring business to the UK and why my model is a sustainable one, why a new market is important to venture into, and what value that would bring. Because when you talk about, we're not creating an application just to sell something to the customers. I don't follow that model. When we create any content for any of our customers, we want to make sure that they have enough value add. Right. So, for example, if you make a purchase on any mobile application, it is limited to that mobile application.
Right.
But in our case, when you make a purchase on our mobile application, you can reuse that content outside the application, and you can redeem something, let's say, in our marketplace as an NFT, or you can redeem something in the PC game that we are creating. Not only just that, but to give more value to our users and to show them, give them the physical touch. We even launched our physical toys, which we sold in San Diego Comic Con and New York Comic Con. Then we also launched our board game, which we have actually given as giveaways to our community during our AMA sessions. Then we did a drop on VV as well, and you can actually check the application VV Collectibles. You can see that Iron Man, the blue metallic version, is about $50, $45-$50. However, our version of David Yu and his team, we launched about 6 characters, and they basically are, you have the colored version and the blue metallic version, and we've been valued at like $650 to $700, which is like 12 times of what Iron Man is valued.
Brilliant.
So these are all like some value additions, and we make the brand community driven, because again, this was also an ask by the community that we kind of create these characters. We kind of create like a PC game, or PlayStation again was it's a big name, and we didn't know that we would make it. But again, you might even think, what's the relation between Barclays and a gaming application? So or a gaming studio, because at that point of time Barclays was promoting like creative games, and they came up with a vertical.
But Barclays does promote innovation in
they do promote.
You're talking about innovation specifically. Brilliant. One question I have, I think tricky one, but upfront, I want to be transparent on this, right? So when somebody invests in you, where are they investing? Are they investing in an AI product? Because you're talking about your extensive knowledge in AI space and all that stuff, or are the product are they investing in something which is going to be a gaming app forever, or are they investing something on you're talking about interoperability and all that stuff? So where are they investing? What's your prime area of focus in the business?
So Wall Street Studios was created for a new market, definitely. But again, when I'm talking about the new market, then the culture and heritage of India, for example, there's a lot of storytelling that you can do with that particular culture and heritage. The same way, if you look at Africa or Latin America, the culture is very, very intense. For example, when I went to Peru and Costa Rica, and I was even in Mexico, I learned that the deities Lord Shiva and Ganesha are being prayed there.
Yeah.
And I was really surprised that I traveled all the way, and I'm actually seeing like these deities being prayed in a place like Latin America, that too in the Amazon jungle.
Yeah.
So that was something very intriguing, and I think there's a lot of storytelling that can be done,
Yeah.
and obviously storytelling in an immersive manner, or using technology that can give immersive experiences. So that's something which audiences will really connect to,
Yeah.
because they can be in that experience, and they can actually hear the stories of Ramayana and Mahabharata, which is the reason why we actually started the brand EPIKO. And we are also into, now it's just today coincidentally that the Central Ministry for Information and Broadcasting has released an article where
Of India.
of India,
Yeah.
where they've promoted, and they've actually told about EPIKO-Con being part of the cosplays, leading the cosplays
Amazing.
in that event called Wave Summit that will be conducted on the 1st to 4th of May.
Very good, very good. Congratulations on that.
Yeah.
And what I want to kind of eclode and give kudos to you, Venkat, on this is a lot of Indian diaspora who lives out of India. We all try to kind of bring the culture back to the kids.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying, right?
Yes.
So we kind of celebrate, all the celebrations, Dashera, Ugadi, all that stuff. All that we do in the Telugu community, large community, here, like you live in East London as well. So there is TAUK, Yukta, TDF, TNF, all these organizations. Everyone tries to kind of bring the culture back to the next generation so that they don't lose it. What's extremely, important is to bring them into the lifestyle. Right? One, yes, you do these celebrations as well, but by bringing into the gaming app with the characters that you're saying, like when you mentioned about Nakul, I was super fascinated. I loved the way you brought up that character, right? Because lot of students, kids, and we probably don't know about Nakul, Sahadev, who's those characters?
Who are they? Yeah,
Who are they? You don't even know. You talk about DC characters, they know. You talk about Iron Mans, they know.
They know, yeah.
You bringing that into this gaming is actually a social impact.
Yes.
And I have to give kudos to you. It's an amazing effort, and I'm sure all the Telugu community, Indian community will appreciate this as well, because it's a very good effort in that lens, right? I mean, it's not about just bringing any AI app, or it's not just like any gaming app.
Yes.
It's about culture and heritage through gaming. That's something I think you need to be very proud of.
Yes.
And you need to sound and you need to sell that a lot, actually. You need to promote that. Your cultural promotion is a very big game changer.
Yes.
I'm sure you'd have thought about this, but I want to give.
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, we don't have to actually even sell it to anybody, because when you actually create something which people can see value in.
Correct.
So just imagine, you have a physical toy of, like, in place of Batman. Let's say you have a physical toy of our character
Nakul.
Now this character Nakul, you can actually play this character in the mobile game. You can hold an NFT of Nakul, then you can play him in the PC version, and then you'll play him in the PlayStation version, then you'll play him on the Quest version, then you will basically have him in the board game, then you will you will also be able to dress up as Nakul and go to these to this EPIKO-Con event that we are doing.
Brilliant.
Right. So, like you rightly said, for example, there's Comic-Con, which focuses on Western-led brands. It's not that I don't actually look at. I'm not into a red ocean strategy. I am into a blue ocean strategy.
True.
As I said, I always explore markets that are untapped. So even these characters might not be known by all the like Indian audience that we have here, but by bringing them to life, basically to play in our game, you bring them to life, and you put them in an immersive experience. people will start connecting and they will start learning, because there's a lot of storytelling that goes behind all these characters.
Interesting.
And that is what will make, it'll bring not only our culture and heritage, but it is also educative in a way.
True.
Not only the culture and heritage part, but also if you talk about the technologies that we are building them on. So let's say you experience Nakul in AR or virtual reality,
Yeah.
augmented reality, or
Or
augmented
VR.
reality is again through the device.
Yeah.
Virtual reality is through the
lens.
Quest device that you have. So if you're experiencing them in these devices, and then you're holding an NFT which is on the blockchain, so then you learn technology as well like that.
Does it
So
really
it's
make a
like-
difference, Venkat? I do wanted to ask you this question very specifically. What's your take on this blockchain, NFT, and all this? The technical terms that we are talking about. I'm sure most of the kids do know this, but how do they make a difference? Because when we were growing up as a kids, right, we probably would have not heard about blockchain. We would have not heard about this.
Definitely.
collectibles. We don't know. But the experience was still there.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying, right? I mean, you still played with some computer games. You still played with something. But we never heard of these terms. But now, when I get into this, like, there's so many technical terms, all this stuff, like, especially with booming AI and NFTs, blockchain technology and all. How does it make a difference? What is the, I mean, if you can explain in a simple way,
So
what is the difference between a normal game
yeah.
versus with these technologies that we are bringing in? How is the user experiences differ?
So one is basically they learn the technology behind the game that they are playing,
Okay.
because they will
You
use
mean
that
the
particular.
users, the kids?
Yeah,
basically?
they will use that particular device.
Okay.
So just think of it like 5 years down the line.
Okay.
So there can be a group of kids, or there can be a group of gamers, or like, let's say, school kids, they choose to create a network of their own on the blockchain. So they will only transact anything they want in terms of information, or like NFTs, or any even if they want to send money to each other, it would be within a trusted network.
Okay.
Now that's blockchain in a way, where
Yeah.
they will only transact between the peers who are who they trust and they know. Even though everything is very it's very private in when you talk about blockchain.
Yeah.
You don't reveal names, but then you can get into that particular network, so they can create their own blockchain network and they can create their community like that.
Yeah.
And everybody can actually choose to sell their information
Is
only
that
if
something
they
that
want to.
Dead Pixel was showing, the show Dead Pixel, the Telugu show.
Uh-huh.
Dead Pixel was showing this kind of blockchain. Anyways,
Okay.
I just
So there's a lot of data involved in that. So there'll be multiple networks.
Yeah.
You have different communities even in UK.
Yeah.
So you have loads of communities even in India.
Yeah.
There's like religion, caste, whatever. Yeah. So they can choose to create something of their own for that particular network.
True.
Let's say a Hindu blockchain network. So all they know that in this network there'll be like Hindus, and we would not allow anybody else to transact or
anything of their
something
choice.
like that.
The community can
And-
be anything of their
Yeah.
choice.
So that community can be of their choice.
Yeah.
And then when they want to even use that information and data, let's say they want to monetize on it. So they will choose which platform they want to give permission, which so that they can monetize on it. Like YouTube pays many influencers, Twitter pays influencers,
all of
Insta,
them.
everyone pay.
Yeah.
So in this case, they actually hold on to their data, and at any point of time, they can simply choose not to share their data as well.
Very interesting.
And it's completely decentralized, so it's in their control.
Very interesting.
And obviously, if you talk about AR or VR, then there are loads of devices. There's one device which is pretty cool. It's the AI pin by Imran he's ex-Apple. So he basically created this AI pin which can actually project, your mobile screen on your hand, and you can start using it.
Amazing.
So that's some exciting
Possibilities are endless, right? I mean, the way
possibilities are endless. So you have this Meta glass specs which can actually which can play songs for you, which can also take pictures for you on your voice command.
So true.
So I mean, these are some important
exciting.
experiences which you will see maybe not right now, but down the line 5 years, because these are emerging technologies. They are not yet fully mainstream, but by the time when they come into the mainstream, those who are early adopters will see the benefits.
Okay.
Now, if you look at companies who are associated with these technologies, and then you've taken a small position, a small, like baby steps, you've made some, you've stacked up some shares or anything of that sort. Obviously, when they go public and they get listed, then you will see that your investment has turned into your retirement plan.
True.
Yeah.
True. Because we all have seen the kind of industry changes, right? I mean, 10 years back,
Yeah.
all the top 10 biggest businesses in the world used to be either oil and gas or manufacturing.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You
Yes.
either talk about Shell, BP,
Right.
likes
Right.
of
Right.
Aramco and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Down the line, like last 2 years, if you look at the statistics, the biggest market leaders are either technology firms or the data firms.
Yes.
Googles of the world,
Yes.
I mean, which who don't have anything in the asset form.
Okay.
There's no physical asset, right, for
Yes.
Google.
Yes. Yes.
And the biggest transportation company in the world is Uber, who don't have any cars.
Mm-hmm. They do have assets, but again,
I mean, I'm talking about the cars, the
cars,
transport. I mean, the
Uber,
owners,
yeah.
Uber doesn't own any cars, but they, like for example, Airbnb. Airbnb doesn't own any hotels, but that's the biggest hotel chain in the world. Even if you look at India, like Oyo, Ritesh Agarwal's
yes.
Oyo, they don't own any hotels as such, but it's the technology or the systems who
I mean,
brought
it's
in.
a 20%,
Yeah.
where they leverage on 80 and they own 20%.
They own very tiny percentage of it. Like, the industry has changed significantly. The way you look at the market, erstwhile, if you look at 10 years back, the kind of market is completely different.
Yes.
It's about manufacturing, it's about oil and gas, it's about like the biggest asset manufacturing firms, right?
Right.
But today, that's not the case. It's all about technology. And that actually leads me to the next question. Tech for good is what I generally try to promote, right? Because my show is all about social impact and business leadership and all that stuff. But do you, as an innovator, see that AI is going in the right direction? Is it going to lead us into a trouble, or is it looking safe? Like, what's your take on tech for good?
So humans are usually known to create trouble for themselves.
Yeah.
So if they've created AI and it creates any trouble in future, I am sure that they will work around it, and they will be 10 steps ahead, and they'll come up with something else that can battle AI.
Yeah.
So every time they come up with an innovation, they get into there is some obstacles, and there are some challenges that come up. But then we as humans evolve. We basically come up with solutions that will be much better than what we were doing like a few decades ago. So I am totally confident that when that point comes where we think that AI is going out of hands, we will probably come up with something else. And
Because we were talking about, the reason I asked this question, Venkat, is like yesterday I was talking to AI investor, right? So this guy was talking about there are 4-5 stages of AI, where we started with this AI where it's a data driven one, where data was filled in and AI was giving you answers just like a search engine, right? Then the phase of agentic AI, where like you have agents and it can think also like human right now. And then there is a futuristic AI where you don't even need a human. AI can actually drive the solutions for you. You don't really need it.
See,
And there
AI
is a
will,
next layer of it. So it sounds exciting,
Yes,
but it sounds risky as well.
yeah. But obviously, technology is here to only make our lives easy. Now, obviously, if you abuse it, then there could be repercussions. But then, if you actually look at it in a perspective where you see how you can benefit
does
from
definitely benefit,
all the solutions and all the quick consolidations it does for us. I'm talking about Chat GPT consolidating text, videos, links, ads, and like maybe some descriptions, and then giving you a consolidated answer through Chat GPT. So it's actually making your work easy there.
It does.
And obviously, then there will be like new skill sets. There'll be new job requirements. There will be new technology, probably maybe quantum. We don't know, because at that point of time, when they know that okay, everyone is using AI, it becomes day-to-day life.
Yeah.
When they know everyone is using AR and VR and everyone is using blockchain, then people are going to come up with
Something new.
technology which is going to be even more advanced.
Yeah.
So obviously, when this technology gets redundant in the next 10 years
Yeah.
or 15 years, then they're going to come up with something else. And humans are the creators, so they will keep on creating,
And they will
and
keep on
they will
disrupting.
keep on
Yeah.
disrupting,
Yeah.
and they will keep on finding solutions to anything that endangers them.
That's brilliant. Because the reason I wanted to, I want to bring a quick example to you. I was in Dubai Forum for Good Diaspora Summit, and there was AI Global Summit just 3 weeks back, 3 or 4 weeks back. And there was AI companies from across the globe. And one of the AI companies stood out for me was Adalat AI. Okay. What this company basically does it, like there is 50 million cases in India which were unsolved.
Okay.
Legal cases.
Okay. Yeah.
There are tons of cases. So what these guys do is like they want to try, and they were telling me the story. I mean, there was a presentation of them, and they were telling the story that the when a case goes into legal element of civil cases and all, the next hearing sometimes it's after 4 years.
Okay.
After 2 years, after 3 years, you would have seen it in India as well. So what they're trying to do is bring down that time, and they have reduced it by 50%, which is exceptional
Yes.
in the countries like India. And what new solutions can be is you never know. Like there was one more element talking about Carva, for example. What they're doing is they're empowering the village women with the linguistic, because all the language models, LLMs, and all these AIs, all these new apps that are going to come in, they need the local language, because the mobile application will go to a local guy sitting in Rajasthan, Telangana, somewhere, and then you need to understand the
local
dialect of the
as
local.
well. Yes.
So what they are trying to do is they are actually hiring local women who's not educated in all, but they speak the dialect. So they are trying to train the dialect through AI with them, which is exceptional, right? I mean, all this kind of stuff. And again, same thing with Wharf Studios as well. The reason I mentioned, because there's a social impact angle to it. You're bringing the culture into it, and you're bringing all this stuff into it.
Technology.
It makes, because technology will only survive or sustain when there is an emotional connect to it.
Yes.
Right? That's the biggest advantage for Wharf Studios, according to me.
Yes.
Or EPIKO. Because you are connecting. I mean, most of my friends, I would go back, and because I've done the research now on your company, I would go back and present in a way that, do you know Nakul? Then go and see EPIKO.
Yeah, okay.
You forgot about Nakul. I mean, we don't speak about Nakul. Let's be very honest.
Yes.
And I don't know how many knows Sahadev.
Yes.
I'm sure you would be creating characters.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And all this stuff, I think you should keep going and, bringing this.
It's not actually like AI again. Even though it reduces our time and all of that, there's obviously place for error, because it could be so an AI actually works in a way where it gives you a decision based on the data sets you populated with.
Correct.
If you have any incomplete data set or anything that's missing, or there is wrong data put in, it will give you the decision based on that.
Yeah.
So it is possible that it could get manipulated, or it could get biased based on the data that it is being given, or the data sets that it has. So it analyzes that data and only then gives you a decision. So there has to be manual intervention. It's not like you give them the legal cases, and because it's like 2, 3, or 5 years, they will cut down the time, and they probably will give you like a consolidated report on all the information that's there, and it can also highlight that this data is missing. Many at times, if you enter a question on ChatGPT, it says that I do not have enough information on this particular subject. That's because that particular data set was not fed into it.
I think it will keep on growing, right?
It will keep on evolving.
That's the model.
Because then there's reinforcement learning, where if a new data set is added on that particular topic, then the machine learning algorithm will rewrite the code on its own. You don't have to do anything there. So it will learn from it, and then it will adapt. But like I said, every decade since the past 30 years, you have seen a lot of
a new trend comes in.
A new trend comes in. We never thought that we would never use card or cash. And we just would like tap our phone here in the UK.
Now there's
and we would only
payments,
do.
Right?
There's ring payment, and some have even chips where they just make payments through that. So
interesting. And I think that's a good segue to my next question as well. And you talked about collectibles, digital ownership, and all. How does that work, Venkat? I mean, you have collectibles as well, right?
Yeah.
And you have digital ownership. I mean, is it I mean, if somebody wants to come to your company and want to buy some collectible, is that possible? How does it work?
Yeah, so they can actually buy it from any of our platforms,
Okay.
and we have NFTs which they can purchase.
Can you elaborate on NFTs?
Yeah, NFTs are basically like non-fungible tokens. So let's say, if you pay $1 for purchasing, let's say, an asset, yeah. So I would actually exchange that with you because it's worth $1. But what if I said
You're talking about a digital asset.
a digital asset or any even a physical asset? So if I give you $1 and you give me something in place for that $1, then that's fungible.
Yeah.
But if I purchase something where it does not have value at the moment, okay, so I put a value to it saying, oh, it could be maybe $5. So I'll purchase it for $5. Let's say down the line 10 years, it goes to 100 or $100,000, then that's non-fungible.
Okay.
So you're not trading for the price at the current like date or current day. And to give you one such example, if you attended any of the Comic Cons, you might have seen people who actually hold books of Disney back from 90s. So they actually bring it to these Comic Cons not to brag and show off, but to say that they're a collector and how much they value that particular book of Disney and why they've been holding it for so many decades.
Yeah.
And people are willing to pay them even $100,000.
Wow.
But it depends totally if they want to be selling it, but they won't be selling it because if you wait for another 30, 40, 50 years or whatever, the value of that could keep going up because it's non-fungible.
Yeah.
And the collectible space, the collectible market is a $400 billion market.
Amazing. So how does this happen? So, like for example, if I want to buy some digital collectibles or digital whatever you call it as NFTs or anything, I come onto your platform and I ask for that through investing some money. Is it like?
No. An investment in the studio is separate.
Yeah. This is basically just like a going to Amazon and buying stuff.
Yeah. Like if you know Tom and Jerry, yeah.
Yeah.
So if you see a character of Tom and Jerry as an NFT by someone, you would just go and purchase Tom and Jerry.
And what kind of ownership does I have on that?
So on a blockchain,
Yeah.
the best part is that there's a timestamp.
Okay.
So the original creator of the particular asset, when he mints, let's say, an NFT on the blockchain, so there's a timestamp to it that this particular creator minted this NFT on this particular day and at this time. Now, if anybody else comes and tries to copy that and mint it and like it happens, so they know that that's not the original version because it's minted on the blockchain.
Makes sense.
So that ways, you know who the original person or the original company that is releasing these NFTs or these digital collectibles or characters.
Very interesting. A lot of knowledge on gaming. But I do want to ask one last question. Maybe then I'll probably close the conversation, Venkatesh. I mean, I do have very quick, fun questions, but let's not go to there. But let's go to the very important aspect. In comparison to the other industries, I know gaming is booming.
Yeah.
We talk about that. But in the Indian market and the UK market, how much gaming has a space right now? What's the market?
So gaming is surely a multi-billion-dollar industry as of now itself. And there are from 8 billion people, I think maybe, less than 1% surely because but then I surely think 500 million people or 700, 800 million people from 8 billion people is still like quite a huge number. Yeah. So
that's the opportunity, market area.
Yeah, the market opportunity is like at least 10% of the world population. Maybe something between 5 to 10%.
Wow.
Because you won't have the right numbers. But I can surely say that if throughout the world 5% of the population is playing something, because I think it's maybe 700-800 million or whatever. That's a huge market.
Huge market.
Yeah.
And there is a concept of this, I mean, not concept, but parental concept, right? Not really a concept on the books. But parents think that gaming is not safe, it's not right. What's your take on that? Especially Indian parents. You know what I'm talking about. Culturally,
yes.
When you go to an Indian parent, I know there is gaming happening, but you still see the conversation that, between, if two parents are sitting and talking, they'll always say that my son is looking at this console or mobile apps. We are not comfortable with it. I mean, how safe it is for a kid to play games through this app?
So firstly,
safest?
I wouldn't judge anything as right and wrong.
Yeah.
The origin always comes from one source.
Mm.
It's the way you look at it. Now, obviously, parents might think that if they're, like looking at their tablets or, if they're on their laptops or at their phone and they're studying through some material, they're actually doing something useful. That's surely there, but then if you're learning something from the game and you're becoming a creator, and you are actually coming up with your own world with your own characters, and you're making engaging content, you can build a career there. And if you look at some of the tournaments that are conducted worldwide, the esport tournaments, people are like making $1 million on, because they have spent so much time on playing like strategy, tower defense games and all of that. They make millions of dollars just as prize money. Now you can never make millions of dollars by like just reading through books and not having that kind of exposure. So that's
that does make sense.
And
it's not advocating as such that you go and play in this.
Not advocating.
It's not advocating,
it's
but there is a perspective and possibility.
Yeah,
right? There is a hell lot of possibility where you can do exceptional stuff in the creative industry, and gaming is part of the creative industry, and there's so much happens in there.
Yeah.
So a quick question: so do you think gaming will move away from the physical devices, like when I say physical devices, the console parts, the PS4s, where you have this something to hold on to and then play, then it'll go away from complete virtual experience? Would that happen soon? Or there's some.
So there is you have glasses where you can you have like lens, and like you have like you have like specs where you can actually you can make mixed reality. You can actually be in the real world and in the virtual world that is created by, let us say, the creator. So it's not necessary. The devices should definitely change over time. I wouldn't say that people. I don't see people wearing the Quest device and like over the next 10 years and playing in the Quest device. That's not going to happen. What I think is there would be another handy device. So like I mentioned earlier about the AI pin, so the pin is just like a small pin here. You don't carry anything with you. So if you want to play a game by making a projection, you can still play.
There's so much evolving.
So there's projection mapping, there are projection devices which can actually come into place. That's where I see it, but there can be much advanced devices
much more than
which
that,
I don't know about as well. Because
so true. Gaming industry is definitely evolving, and there's so much happening. And what I want to close with, Venkat, as I mentioned, the primary objective of this conversation is talking about the deadline coming up for this year for the tax saving.
Okay.
Also, it's April 5th, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So do you want to close with that? Why should somebody think about investing in EIS? And also, a lot of my audience are Telugu, and feel free to speak in Telugu as well. But go ahead. Why should somebody invest in EIS? Why is it the right time right now?
Okay, so I spoke about EIS earlier in English, so it would be good to even talk in say a few lines in Telugu. సో తెలుగులో చెప్పాలంటే మనమందరూ ట్యాక్స్ పే చేస్తుంటాము. సో మనకి క్యాపిటల్ గెయిన్స్ ట్యాక్స్ ఫ్రీ రిటర్న్స్ అనే స్కీమ్స్ చాలా తక్కువ ఉంటాయి. వాల్ స్ట్రీట్ స్టూడియోస్లో ఎట్లా అంటే మాకు యూ కెన్ యాక్చువల్లీ మీరు రీసెర్చ్ చేసి కంపెనీ గురించి చదివిన తర్వాత బ్రాండ్స్ ఏవేవైతే మాతో అసోసియేట్ అయినాయో, మాకు ఏవేవి పార్ట్నర్షిప్స్ అయితే సైన్ చేసామో, వాట్ ఆర్ ద గవర్నమెంట్ ఇనిషియేటివ్స్, మన గవర్నమెంట్తో ఏం చేస్తున్నాం, ఏం లాంచ్ చేస్తున్నాము, దానివల్ల మన ఫ్యూచర్ జనరేషన్స్కి ఏం బెనిఫిట్ ఉంటుంది, దెన్ టు అంటే హౌ ఒక చిన్న ఇన్వెస్ట్మెంట్ ఒక 6,000తో మనం ఎట్లా మన ఫ్యూచర్ పిల్లలకి ఒక చిన్న గిఫ్ట్ లాగా పుట్ అసైడ్ ద 6,000 జస్ట్ ఫర్ దెమ్ యాజ్ అ మినిమం ఇన్వెస్ట్మెంట్ అట్లా చేసినప్పుడు వాళ్ళకి ఎట్లా బెనిఫిట్ అవుతుందనే ఒక దీంతో మీరు కంపెనీ గురించి చదివి కంపెనీ టీమ్ కానీ టెక్నాలజీ కానీ అక్యులేట్స్ అవార్డ్స్ పార్ట్నర్షిప్స్ ఇవన్నీ చూసిన తర్వాత దెన్ మీరు ఒక డెసిషన్ యూ కెన్ టేక్ అ డెసిషన్ ఆన్ దట్. సో అది నా సజెషన్. బట్ అగైన్ ఇట్స్ టోటలీ యువర్ కాల్ బికాజ్ వీ హ్యావ్ బీన్ స్కేలింగ్. ఎవరైనా ఈ జర్నీలో వచ్చారంటే హ్యాపీ టు కనెక్ట్ అండ్ హ్యాపీ టు హ్యావ్ యూ యాజ్ షేర్ హోల్డర్ ఇన్ పార్ట్ ఆఫ్ in this exciting journey that we are in.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for that, Venkat. And as I said at the beginning, this is not to advocate anything, but it's to give you information. There is so much that you can do through this additional schemes like AIS. So I would recommend people to watch out and see what this holds for you. And if it is something interesting, and then definitely go for it. And there's a lot of opportunities maybe, but do watch out what Venkat said. What is all about, read about Wharf Street Studios and EPIKO. And I'm going to, see how I can bring this EPIKO brands into my family life as well, Venkat, and see, introduce the characters of all this amazing Indian mythology into my kids' world.
Right.
Thank you so much for doing this. Continue to do it, and all the best.
Thank you. And I would like to say that opportunities don't come every time.
Yeah.
And, when it is there, available, and, if you have seen it or you have come across it, we should go for it.
Just grab
it. Just grab it, take it and go.
Yeah.
Thank
All
you
right,
so much.
On that note, thank you so much, audience. See you again.
Thank you.
Bye.